Welcome to Rehatched Designs by Tina Williams, where I make junk journals, all different styles, several different ways, for many different upcycled and new things. Sit back and enjoy the video. And if you like it, please give me a thumbs up, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to hit that notification bell so you'll know when I upload future videos. Hi everybody, this is Tina. Hope y'all are doing well today. I am here to answer a question that I hear over and over again. And I think what it is there's a lot of people that are just figuring out what a junk journal is. Maybe they were curious and now they've kind of seen a few and they like them and they like the idea. It's catching on more. And they see them and there's so many different styles and so many different kinds and there's so many different digitals and there's so many different ways that you can make them that people are just, they don't know what to do. They don't know how to start. So I am here to offer some suggestions on how to start and what you can do to narrow down those choices and to just start. And first off, everybody's going to maybe want to do a different type of journal because it's going to depend on your style and what you like. Okay, there's lots of different journals out there. And it also can depend on the skill level that you have or you're comfortable doing. So, you know, there's so many different ways that you can do it. And you don't always have to sew in a signature to make it a true junk journal. And that's another thing. Anybody that tries to define what a junk journal is to you, I would just stay away from that because it is the definition of a junk journal varies so much that I don't think you can define it. And people that say it's just should only be just junk, well, do they use that definition for people that do scrapbooking? Scrapbooking was supposed to be just scraps. That's originally how it started, with just scraps of paper, scrap of material, lace, trim, or whatever. Well, it obviously expanded to way beyond that, and it's no different with junk journals. And people that are trying to define a purpose to it, it can have a purpose. I think a lot of them do, but then again, a lot of them don't. A lot of them are just works of art. Their only purpose is to be admired and possibly for the creator to enjoy making. So anyway, I'm not going to get into that because I have another whole video on junk journal, what's the purpose. I will link that below if you're interested in that. But I'm going to get into, okay, so you've decided you want to make one. All right, you've gone out there, you've looked. Some people, I think, have watched tons of videos and they just don't know how to pull the trigger. They don't know how to start. Okay, first off, there are a lot of different styles of junk journals. Here's one that is made with a file folder, which I think is a great way to start. This one it doesn't really have a theme. It is just a bunch of different papers. I think this is a great kind of journal to start with because then you're not locked into any particular theme. It doesn't really have any digitals in it. It's just a journal that they've used a file folder for the cover, and it really doesn't have a set theme to it. All right, so it could be something like that. Here's one that, and this is a Christmas one, but you can adapt it to anything, that is made just with paper bags. And it is not sewn into the signature, it's just tied. It's super easy to do. And I have I have a tutorial on this out there, and I also have a tutorial on one like this as well. So I'll try and remember to link those in the playlist, because it gets hard because I end up having to try and remember all the things I promised to link. If I forget and I say I'm going to do something, y'all hold me to it in the comments, and I will go back and put it in there. But anyway, this one is just made with paper bags, and I mean, it's cute. There's not a lot that you have to do to that. Let's see. This one is made solely from envelopes. Envelopes. It's got papers in the middle, and it's kind of a flip-flop. It's probably a first generation flip-flop journal. You could do it with that. This one is made from discs from a planner, and it doesn't have any, there's nothing filled out in it. There's just blank pages that can be easily taken in and out. So you could make something like that if that's your jam, if you're more of an art person, and let's say you want to just fill it with, you know, different papers. If you have like a happy planner and you've got the punch, you probably have a ton of these rings. This is just some chipboard, and this hasn't even been decorated. I made this ages ago, and of course I have a tutorial on that too. I'm gonna have to remember to put all of them in there, but I have over 400 videos out there, a lot of them for beginners. So, you know, you may want to, if you're wanting to make a journal and you see one of these or something, the style that you're interested in, then, you know, that's another thing. Just look through my playlist, because there are a lot of beginner tutorials in there. So, and you know, a lot of other people have some great tutorials out there too. You could do a ring bound, something like this, where you just put rings in it and you just punch holes in it. If you have a, I forgot what you call it. Oh, you know, the thing that makes this. I have one. I can't think of what it's called. You could make one like that. I've made one, and I just put different papers in it. I basically just use this as more of a glue book. I really need to get back to doing that. I just really enjoy it. It's a lot of fun. You don't necessarily have to journal. And this was done with just papers that I took out of a book, or different books, and I put it in there, and that was it. So, not hard to do. By the way, this one is still for sale in my Etsy shop if anybody is interested. I never normally have any in there, but it is in there. But this is very elaborate. You can go all the way up to, oh gee, I want to just start off elaborate, but it's actually not a hard one to make. But you could add all of the different laces and trims and good stuff like that. There's a flip through in my last video of this if you're interested in it. But you know, this is made with old quilt. I mean, you can get as elaborate as you want. It doesn't, but I would not suggest doing that for your first journal, but you can. You certainly can. Because I don't think it's actually that hard to add all these extra things. It just takes more patience, you know, to do it, and more stuff. So if you don't have a lot, but I think a lot of crafters that want to do it have, at least I know I did. I didn't have the stuff I have now because I've obviously collected a lot over the last 4 years that I've been doing this, but I had a lot of stuff from scrapbooking and things like that, and I do think a lot of the people out there do have a lot, or they have something to start with. There's different things that you can use to start when you make a journal. One of the most popular is a Reader's Digest, and part of the reason the Reader's Digest is so popular is because of the size. A lot of people can take the pages out and use this for a cover. They don't have to redo the spine because of the size of the spine. This is about the size of the pages that you would put in. So, you know, that's part of the reason any book that's a similar size would work like that. A lot of people that like retro, they love doing little golden books. They're super fun. This is a pretty old one. I need to make these. Oh my gosh, I have so many of these. Either that or I need to start selling them. But anyway, they are fun. Again, of course, I have a tutorial on that. You know, obviously. I have tutorials on all of these different styles in my playlist, guys. But I will try my best to put all of those in the description. Link them so that you can find them. But anyway, this is always fun to make, and you know, really not that hard to do. I actually started out doing little golden books, and that's part of how I think I got proficient at sewing in signatures, because I ended up doing like 20 or 25, I think, from late October all the way through Christmas, because I had a ton of people that wanted them. Well, they saw them, and so I mean, I was just making them like crazy. But anyway, that is a fun way to do it. It's a good way to learn how to sew them in. You don't have to sew them in. A lot of people do with the ring binding. You know, it's just whatever you want to do. One way to do it, and I've made it the cookbook before on my channel, but it's the same thing, is a lot of people are collecting these old ring binders so that you can, these are great actually. I love making journals out of these because of the fact that you can take things in and out. They have all these wonderful old pictures in them, and look at this, she's got something in here from a gardening club. But the point is that this is a great way to make a journal where you don't have to sew it. And, you know, you can, of course, decorate. I've done them where I've decorated these, others where I've left it just the way that it is, because I think these are wonderful. Of course, the pages are a lot bigger, but that's kind of good because some people may want to use scrapbook paper to do it. I like to use scrapbook paper when I use these because when you punch the holes in them, you want something reasonably strong, and I like to use a lot of scrapbook paper in there along with other papers. But this is one of my favorite ways, and this might be a great way to start. And of course, you could use just a regular notebook. You don't have to have something like this. But this is a fun thing to do. So I will tell you that one of my absolute favorite ways to make a journal that I'm going to sew in, and I have tons of tutorials out there, is to use these covers, or these mailers that you get, because the size, when you fold them in half, you know, you trim it, is about perfect for making a journal. If you're going to make a journal, or if you want to go the other way, it makes a tall journal. In fact, this journal that I just put down out here on the ground, this journal is made out of one of those. That's what that is made out of. I mean, obviously it has beautiful quilting and all that added to it, but that is what's in here. That is what this is made out of. But it's one of my absolute favorite ways to make a journal. I just like how it feels. It has all the squishiness. You basically cover it with material on both sides, and but it gives it a little bit of a foundation, but it has all that crunchy, wonderful sound to it, and it feels good in your hands. I don't know, just love making a journal out of those, and I've made a ton of them with those. But anyway, so you have a lot of choices, and there's way more than that, way more. The other question is, okay, so what do I use to make the journal, my pages, etc.? Well, first off, you don't have to have a theme. As I showed you in that one file folder one, it doesn't really have a theme to it. It is just, let me get it out again. It is just kind of generic old stuff. Okay? It is just basically, you know, old things that is put in a journal, old lace, old trim. This is some scrapbook paper. This is scrapbook paper. This is like just an old letter. I just think that this is just some parchment paper. Looks like out of an old book. This could be a great way to make a journal if you do not want to use digitals. Now, I will say this. I've heard some people say that using digitals is cheating or whatever. I don't know. Look, I think Artie Mae said it, and this made so much sense to me. Digitals are just scrapbook paper that you have to print, okay? In fact, scrapbook paper is really more cheating than digitals because it's already printed, okay? If you're going to go along those lines, I don't think using a digital is a bad place to start. I love using digitals. It gives you a theme, it gives you a starting point, but at the same time, look how cool this is without any digitals. It has no digitals. And I've done several journals that have no digitals at all in them. So, and they're really cool. It depends on the style that you want to do, okay? Or you can put some digitals in them and not, you know, others not. So you could just do some coffee dyed papers or just some old papers if you have access to those. You can, it's not hard to coffee dye paper. There are lots of tutorials out there. I don't have one because there's so many tutorials out there. You can do, let me get these down. Lots of different parchment paper. You can just use food coloring to dye your papers. If you want to have bright papers, you can add those in there. You can dye any kind of paper you want. You don't have to have just those. You can use papers, things from books or journals, or like here's this cool picture. You can take that and use half of that in your journal. There's lots and lots of things that you can add and not have to, you know, print anything. So the other thing is obviously scrapbook paper. There is a lot of papers out there, and I know a lot of you have them. I will tell you one thing. Here's the problem. See, isn't this beautiful? Absolutely beautiful. But the problem is this is rather thick. So maybe you could use it for the cover, or maybe you could use it for the cover of a signature. You could use it for maybe a few pages in the journal. But it's really hard to make a journal out of thicker cardstock scrapbook paper because it becomes too thick. So you want to think about that. You want to use a lighter weight paper. This is a little bit lighter weight, so this would work a lot better. And I often use my scrapbook paper in my little golden books. Like I'll find you know, similar colors that will work with the book, and that is what I will use in my little golden books, just so I can use up some of my scrapbook paper that I have. So that is something to think about. If you have some of the paper that is not heavyweight, it works great for pages. And the ones that are heavier, you can definitely use it for pages. Or you can go, and there are so many digitals out there and so many people that make them. I'm not gonna, you know, go into all of the different people. This is one I believe this is My Porch Prints that I printed ages ago. I think it is. It may not be. I don't know. I don't remember. But I went ahead and took this because I just wanted to give you an idea of how easy it could be. These are like just little journaling cards. And there's nothing wrong with having a head start on, you know, helping you make your first journal, because this is just a starting point. You can add lace and trim and all kinds of stuff to everything and just jazz this up. See all these pages? I've printed on both sides. I don't know. I do that just because I like how it looks. And you can still add other pages to it. But there's nothing wrong with using digitals to help you out, to help you get to the point where, you know, you have what you want in a journal. So anyway, what I was going to do today is I am going to, I don't know how far we will get, but I am going to try my best to make a small journal with you guys with these digital papers, because I thought it would be a fun thing to do as a beginner. What I have here is I have a book that I gutted. So basically you take a book and you would, let me see, what did I do with that Reader's Digest? I'll show you. You would just take your book and just take a blade and cut all the pages out, which I can do really quickly if I can find it. You would just take all the pages out. This is an older one here, so it may fall apart. Let me get this out of the way so you can see. So you would take the pages out. And this, you can be a Dollar Tree book, it could be any book, it doesn't really matter. A lot of times people like Reader's Digest because they like how the cover looks. See how it looks plain like that? So then they can just decorate it. I'm not going to do that with this one because it doesn't really have the colors that I want, and I didn't have one that didn't have the colors that I want. But you just take it, and usually it comes right apart if it's an older book. And if your spine gets messed up, you can certainly fix that. I'm going to take that off of there. This one looks like it's going to fall apart, but it is an older book. I should have got a different one to show you, but anyway, so you just take the pages out and save those because you can use those in your book, in a journal. And you can just take these, and what I would do at this point is I would take some Tyvek, that's the stuff that the mailers come in, or you can take duct tape and tape this back and then cover it later with lace or trim or whatever, or scrapbook paper, and then you can use this book. Okay, and I have tutorials out there on how to do that. Or you can just use a newer book like this that doesn't fall apart, but you still have to reinforce this. Okay, so here you have just a cover. And what I want to do with that, and I'm just going to paint it. So let me see if I can get this. So I am going to just paint this so it's the color that I want. It's a beautiful color, and chalk paint covers really well. There's no reason you cannot paint a book cover. You can paint the inside as well if you want to. So we are going to make a very basic journal that you can start with, and a very basic journal can look very elaborate. It's not it's not so much the foundation, it's all the things you do with it. So, and now I really should have that dry. I'm going to let that dry a little bit, and then I'm going to do the inside. And so I will more than likely do these 8 inches in height, just because that will work better. So I'm just going to cut off a little bit of this. And most of the time your makers will go ahead and they will make them to where if you look at this here, you can do it shorter and it's not cutting off anything overly important. So I'm going to go right to where the 8 is, right here. I've already cut off that other piece. I wasn't really paying attention to how much, but now I'm going to have that right at 8. And then I'm going to just go ahead and cut off this edge right here. And then more than likely I'm going to have to go in, and I don't want to go more than 10.5. So I'm going to want this to be 8 by 10.5. So that will fit inside my journal. Okay, so these that were this long here, I will just go ahead and cut those to 8 so that it fits. Remember, I just folded them, so I'm going to go ahead and cut that, so that's going to fit in there, and then this one's going to fit in there. I'm going to do that to 8. The number one thing I will tell you is to not overthink when you do a journal. Don't ever, you know, put so much thought into it that it paralyzes you. So this is supposed to be fun, and it's just paper. So I would definitely not overthink it. So what I'm going to do is I am going to go ahead and I'm going to cut all of these down. Okay, so I have cut all these pages to the size that we need. So we're just going to fold them in half. And then we'll divide them up after. And I print on parchment paper, which is pretty strong. And it is ivory, so it kind of mutes the colors a little bit, makes it look a little more vintage. But part of the reason I use parchment paper is that if you sew on it, if you add lace or trim, if you add pockets, that type of thing, it's pretty sturdy. So now we have a choice when you do a journal of if you want to add pockets and all that type of stuff. If you want to sew it on here, any type of sewing or decorating, you can do before you put it all together. I am not going to do that for the purposes of this journal because I just want to show the basics. Most of the time, if I don't sew it, I decorate it after. That's just how I do it. But you can do it either way, whatever is easier for you. You don't want to do anything that would be difficult. So then we're going to get some other papers to put in there. This is just a random paper that I have that has the Eiffel Tower on it. It says Paris. And I am going to fold that in half this way to put in there because you want things with different sizes. I've got this music page that I have put a napkin on over it that's gold. I thought that'd be fun to put in there. I have an old page from a book and on this side is blank. I have a dictionary page here, a French dictionary page. I have another smaller music paper, and what I've done is I've put washi tape in these so that I can add them. And all I do is, this one is a dictionary page here. I'm going to just take a glue stick and go down the middle. And they don't have to be the same either, but you can have two different types of paper together. And I'm just going to put the washi tape down here, and that'll keep it strong enough to where we can sew that into the signature. So I'm going to go ahead and just fold that over, and that will be another couple of pages. Okay, so now I forgot how many. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's do 5 here and 5 there. Okay, I think I have 5. 1, 2, 3. Wait, something's wrong. 5. Okay, there's 5 there. And I'll put that there, and that there, and that there, that there, and that there, and then that there. So we're even. We have one of those and one of those. And then I have this paper bag. I can put in one for pockets. I also have these 2 envelopes here that I can make into pockets. And the way that I'll do that is, these are just 2 envelopes. Okay, and I'm going to put one inside the other so that they'll have pockets, but I'm going to have the pocket on this side. So we're going to go ahead and do that. And I'm just going to use this glue stick. So this will give us some pockets on the other part of this. So we're just going to take that and go like that. These are just some easy things that you can add to make your journal interesting. And I'll put that down here. And we'll cover this up later. Okay, so that will go on this side. And then, let's see, what else do we have? We do have this we can put over here. And I thought I had another one. I don't know what I did with it though. Where did it go? Maybe I didn't cut it out yet. Oh, I was gonna use that. I am gonna do one thing. I am gonna take, this is a Dorland's wax. I use this a lot for a lot of, anytime I do anything like mixed media or whatever, and it seals it. So this will seal this cover so we don't have to worry about paint or something coming off. I need to get a dry rag. See if I can find a dry one. I have a dry one right here. And I'm just going to go ahead and put that on there, and it will completely dry by the time we get everything ready to go. Okay, so Tyvek is the stuff that you put in there to reinforce this, but you can use material, you can use anything that is going to reinforce the spine. I have this is actually what would I call this? This is burlap, and it is on paper. So I bought this years ago, and I'm running at the last of it. If I'd known I was going to use it as much as I did, when I bought it I thought, oh, I'll never use that. I use it all the time. You want to put something in here to reinforce the spine, because all this is really is thin paper. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to glue something in there. You could put the Tyvek, you can use duct tape and then cover it. This will, any kind of material will reinforce it. But I'm going to put this in here, and I'm also going to be putting some lace trim on the outside, so that is going to be more than enough to keep this strong. Pockets and all that on with fabric tack, I promise you, it is strong. So nothing wrong with that. So don't feel like you have to sew or have a sewing machine. All right, so I have went ahead and I decided to sew it. You do not have to do that. You can glue it. I just didn't have the time for the video's sake to wait for it to dry. So now we're going to go ahead and put our signatures in. And let's see. Where did that page? Oh, that's the extra page. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and put our signatures in. And the way that I will do that is I am going to make a template, and I'm going to go ahead and measure. Our spine right here is probably, where's my ruler? Probably 2 inches. That's one reason why people like the Reader's Digest. This is a similar size, is because the spine is a good size and the book is a good size. It fits the pages really well, and it fits like 2 signatures really well. So we have 2 signatures that we're going to put in here, and we have 2 inches. So, and it is by right a little under 8. So I'm going to make it 7 3/4 by 2 is my template. Almost 8. So we're going to go here for our length. And then we're going to go 2 inches wide, because that is how wide our template is, our spine is. And what I'm going to do with this is I am going to fold it in half. This is just an easy way without measuring. Okay, and then I'm going to fold it in half again. What that's going to do is that is going to give us where we need to put our signatures. Okay, I'm going to put one here and one there. And this is the middle right here that we can use to use our let me get our thing out. So what we're going to do is we are going to take our thread. This is wax thread. And I'm only doing the sewing type because I think that's what most people have trouble with. Obviously, a ring one would be super easy. You could figure that out. A lot of the other stuff, the bound ones, you could actually take it to a print shop if you wanted to. You wouldn't even have to have the equipment to do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I am going to fold this in half. Like that, and then I'm going to fold it in half again, and that is going to help me determine where I'm going to put my holes. So I'm going to go ahead and get a pen out so you can see it. So this is the actual middle right here, and then here's where we put that, and we're going to do the 3-hole pamphlet stitch. Okay, but that is where our signatures are going to go, right there. They're just right across from each other. Okay, so you can take that, and what we're going to do is this is going to be paper clipped. I just use these big paper clips because they're long. And I just do one on each side. I don't use a cradle or anything like that because, I don't know, to me it was actually more trouble than it was worth. This is not hard, especially if you don't put too many pages. If you don't put more than 15 pages, usually this is pretty easy. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Okay, and I always take a last look and make sure that none of my pages are upside down. I didn't do it on this one, so I want to do that. Or they're in the spot, maybe they're in a spot I don't want them in. I think it would look better somewhere else. Like maybe this can go down further here. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and paper clip these. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to punch the holes, and I'm going to make sure I mark the top and the bottom. Even though I measured this out, it could be off a tiny bit, and that way I know to use this as the top. So meaning this is the top of the paper. So I'm going to go ahead and put this in there, and we're going to use these middle holes for each signature, okay, to punch out the holes. And I'm going to go ahead and just put that in the middle. So I cut this pretty much the same height as the papers, and I'm going to just basically make sure it's in the middle. And I just hold mine. I don't put it in a cradle or anything, and I will just punch the holes like that. There's one in there, and I'm just holding it. Some people paper clip it. I don't do that. I just hold it. Probably because I've done it enough times, it's not that hard for me. But if you need to paper clip this template in, you can. And you want to hold it as in a V if you can, because that actually keeps the papers, you know, lined up the way they need to be lined up. And that's why you have the paper clip, if you need to go back through them again. Okay, so we're going to do that to this one also. And we're going to put the top on the top and get it in the middle. So we'll do that and do the same thing here. We're just punching our holes in our signature. You don't have to do them both at the same time. You can do them as you're getting ready to put them in. But I just do it that way because, I don't know, I just have done. I don't always do it that way, but I probably do it most of the time that way. Okay, so now that I've done that, that's our holes that we have in our signature. And we just have to decide which one we're going to put first. I think I'm going to put that first. So what I want to do now is I want to go ahead and measure where I want this this to go, and it's really not that hard. You just kind of have to feel. This is going farther than what the actual spine is. You can see there's a line where the spine is, so we want to put that right there. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to punch my holes for my signatures, and those are going to go 1 2 3 1 2 3, okay? And I'm going to put one here, put one here, I'm going to put one here, hold that down. I'm going to go ahead. Now you could paper clip your template down if you're worried about it moving. 2, and then I think this one did move actually. But that's okay, we'll figure it out. All right. No, actually it looks pretty good. Okay. Okay, so after you have punched your holes, all you're going to do is start sewing in your signatures. And I always put a paper clip on the end of my thread. I use 3 times the amount. I go 1, 2, 3, and a little extra. I have a longer needle. Just, it helps me do this. So here we go. And I'm going to go, it doesn't really matter on this book what's the front and what's the back. They're both the same, but we're going to go ahead and we start in the middle. And I'm going to go ahead and go through my middle hole right there. And then at that point, you're going to go through the top or the bottom. It doesn't really matter. And then you're going to go through the bottom So you're there, okay? Then you're going to go all the way to the bottom or the top, ever opposite of what you just did, and then go through. I can't see that hole real well, so I'm hoping that's it right there. Yeah, that's right. Okay. So then the last one you're going to do is you're going to go through the middle again. And when you do that, you do not want to pierce this thread that's already there, because if you do, you can't tighten your thread. And then I leave mine loose until the very end. And then you just want to, I always hold my papers kind of in a V, and then I punch this right through without piercing the other thread. If you pierce the other thread, go back out and go in again. Because if you pierce it, you will not be able to tighten up your signature, okay? So then I take off my paper clips. This one too. Okay, and I will go ahead and tighten it up right there. If it doesn't tighten up, then it's a very good chance that you split a thread somewhere. That's way too long. I take my thread and I loop it around, and then I loop this around so that it's hanging on to the thread, and just tighten it. It gives it some leverage, and it puts it in there nice and tight, and it should look nice and straight when you're all done. Okay, and that is your signature. So you want to, at that point, you can, if you want to tie a bow, tie a bow. If you want a string, I'm not going to do that on this. I'm just going to go ahead and I'll put a triple knot in there just for grins, and then cut it. And that is that. That is that signature. So now we're going to put the next one in. And where did my needle go? There it is. And I will probably speed it up just for the sake of time. Make sure it's nice and tight. Make sure everything is even. You want both signatures the same. All right. And then tighten it up and go ahead and cut it. This is going to be inside the envelope. So we're going to go ahead and tighten that. Cut it. Voila. So that is all it takes to put your journal together. The rest is just decorating. I have this little sheet. I use this for a thing that I did in on my other channel. I don't know how much of this I can use on there. Let's cut this right there. We might have to cut this right here, right? And then we might have to cut this right here a little bit. So this is just a little rub-on that I'm going to put on here with this music page for our cover, and it has the French word for lavender, and I did that in drop cloth, and that is going to be our cover. I'm not going to make it anything really super fancy. I think I might cut that a little. Well, no, it'll fit. Let me see. Yeah, it'll fit on there. So I am just going to take some glue. Let me see. I'm going to glue this on. Now this is our envelope here, and I'll show you how we put that in. And the reason I'm doing this, I'm not going to do any decorate or anything. This is just to show you how you put your book together, okay? I don't want to go into a lot of decorating and things like that, because that can take a long time, and that is really something that you can just decide on your own. Let me see what I have that is wide enough. I have this piece right here. That would be really pretty. This is some vintage lace. Or trim. I'm gonna go ahead. These scissors are terrible. I've got to go and get all my scissors sharpened. So I'm gonna go right to here. I've got magnets stuck to it right now. All right, so I'm gonna just take this and put it right here like that, and that covers the threads. You definitely do not have to do that, but I'm gonna do that, and I'm gonna just use some of my fabric tack to do that. And yes, it'll go through, but we're gonna clean it up. And that does it. So that makes our little journal, and you can of course put a tie on here and then go in and decorate it. Now the envelope that we put in the middle here, what we did is we simply left it open, and then we just take it and fold it on the fold lines just like that. It's a great way to hide your strings. So we're going to do that right there. All right, I've still got that little mess up there from when I cut it a little bit too far, so I'm going to have to trim that. All right, so then all we do is we just glue our envelope shut like that, and then we have an envelope in the middle of our signature. So we can do that like that, and then of course we can put something there later to close it. And here, if you wanted to, you could close that and put something in there. Depends on what you want to do. You can always put lace or trim on any of these pages in the front. You could add a pocket up here if you wanted to. That would be really cute. I think the kit came with some pockets, and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, guys, that is how you can make a journal very quickly, very easily. You saw how fast I put that together, and that's with explaining. And it's not because I've done so many, it's just that there's like a formula to it. You just have to come up with a theme, and you may not even need a theme. Maybe your theme is just put stuff you like. That's your theme. But do it, try it. It's not hard. You don't have to sew them in. There's lots of other ways to do it. Look in my playlist. There's ways that you can do it without sewing. I have tons of the videos out there. But if you want to make a junk journal, that is what you do. Those are the steps that you do. And of course, there's all types out there, and I hope that this helped you. All right, guys, we'll see you again soon. Bye-bye. Take care.